Well, Chicago has taken a 2-1 lead over Edmonton in the series. So, the first thing I'd like to say about this game was penalties. Penalties, penalties, penalties. Apparently, at least in the first two periods, everything was a penalty, especially for Edmonton. I think it was a penalty just to be wearing an Edmonton jersey. A lot of them were legitimate, but not all of them. Anyway, in the first period, Mata scores for Chicago. It was a long shot. There was a screen. It was deflected in off of an Oilers player's leg. That's a mouthful. So Koskinen didn't have any chance. And by the way, Koskinen was in net. Crawford for the Blackhawks. Mike Smith played in the first game for the Oilers and didn't really have a very strong outing. And so Koskinen played in the second game, and I think he stopped like 23 of 26 or something like that. Anyway, played well enough, to get the Oilers a win in that game. Of course, when your team scores 6 goals, it's a lot easier to get a win. Let's see. So Koskinen plays in this one. He allows that goal from Mata, but there really wasn't anything that he could have done. It looked like he was tracking the puck correctly, and then it was deflected, and he was screened too. Edmonton ties it up very shortly after. I don't know exactly what the time difference was, but it wasn't much. Draisaitl, and the shot was just right out in front. There was not much Crawford could do, especially whenever it's, a first-class player like Draisaitl. He gets a good chance he's not going to mess it up. Chicago scored with 4 seconds left in the first period to take a 2-1 lead. That was Jonathan Toews. And it actually was a weird situation. Like, he took a shot, and I think he kind of half-fanned on it, and then it bounced off of his skate, and it just trickled in. Koskinen dove for it. He was on his belly, reached his stick out, but just couldn't quite keep it out. So, goes into the second period, 2-1. Let's see, Edmonton scored. Chicago had a terrible turnover in the defensive zone that ended up leading to an Edmonton goal. I don't think Crawford really could have done much about it. That was Draisaitl. And then with 8 seconds left in the second period, McDavid scored, and it was on a rebound. Another situation where Crawford really didn't have much chance. So Draisaitl gets 2 and McDavid gets 1. And the Oilers go into the third period leading 3-2. The penalties calm down in the third period, and, it's looking like Edmonton's maybe going to be home free on this because they hold that 3-2 lead for, I think it's like the first 14 minutes of the third period, and then Chicago ties it up with about 6 minutes left in the third. Highmore deflects a shot. The shot was taken from the blue line, but Highmore got a stick on it, deflected it. Again, change of direction, not much Koskinen could do. Certainly wouldn't blame Koskinen on any of those goals. And then with a minute and a half left in the game, Toews scores a tip-in, another one that Koskinen really probably didn't have much chance on. So Edmonton ends up getting 2 goals on 28 shots, and 3 goals on 28 shots. Yeah, 2 for Draisaitl, 1 for McDavid. 3 goals on 28 shots, and then Chicago gets 4 goals on 25 shots. None of them were really bad goals. I'm not going to fault Crawford. I'm not going to fault Koskinen for any of them. I would imagine that Dave Tippett will play Koskinen in the next game, and I'm sure we'll see Corey Crawford. You're not going to see Malcolm Subban. But anyway, I would say, other than the fact that it was just a penalty fest for 2 periods. In fact, that goal that Toews scored with 4 seconds left in the first period, that was a 2-man advantage that he scored that on. So just lots and lots of penalties. It was kind of ridiculous. There was a holding call at one point that, the Oilers player, it wasn't holding. That's all I'll say. Go back and watch it if you want to. It wasn't holding. It was brutal. So not a big fan of all the penalties. I'm much more of a let them play kind of guy, so it was kind of frustrating in the first 2 periods, regardless of who you're rooting for, even though I think it hurt the Oilers more than the Blackhawks. But Blackhawks take a 2-1 lead, and we'll see if they can close it out in the next one. Thanks for watching, and have an awesome day. Bye now.